Brooks.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, look at this. It's in the chat.
Aesthetically, it's impossible, but I mean, you can construct modality. It's obviously possible.
Yeah, the evidential, or the empirical reality.
It's metaphysically possible in the brain of that, but it's epistemic.
See, because I
think it's metaphysical.
Why is a theist or a Christian, right? Why would they want to say that it's metaphysically impossible? Because,
I don't think all Christians.
Don't you want to say that, wouldn't theists usually say that, the brain could be given certain stimuli to make it think it's experienced something that it isn't? In such case, right, then you could just be hooked up to something.
Yeah, but you could say that God would prevent them too.
But everyone would acknowledge that there are dreams and hallucinations and stuff, right?
Yeah,
experiencing things that they're not.
You're dodging. Yeah, and people make claims that they're wrong about. That was me. I wasn't talking. No, just that claim itself could be wrong. I wanted him to answer the question. But Andrew, is there a real controversial question you would like?
You agree to that?
Hypothetically, but not possible given the data?
That's hypothetical.
So you think it's hypothetically possible, but not possible given the data?
Yeah, because we have data that points to the contrary. The hypothesis that you have different data, maybe. And so if all the data is pointing to the contrary of this, you can say... I'm saying
the world as it is, MJ. I'm saying the world as it is the case that it's possible.
Do you have full access to all the data? That's going to bring in you don't have full access.
I'm talking about epistemic modality, they're not talking about metaphysical modality.
Well, I asked him if it's metaphysically possible.
But I was hoping, Andrew, you would ask me one of these,
Why did you ask him about metaphysics?
Because he said he has metaphysical commitments that rule out the possibility of being a brain of that. I wanted to know what his metaphysical commitment is, and he hasn't explained that. And now he has just said,
but why is metaphysics even a conversation here? This is an epistemic issue.
Right? Yeah. How do you know? How do you know you're not a brain event? Yeah.
Right.
Well, when it comes to epistemics, I would say that well, I'm not sure where I exactly want to fit on this particular plane. I think epistemic evidentiaries would be evidence, and there's no evidence or
Evidence is part of like epistemology.
within this.
Epistemology.
Then you
Yeah, I said that wrong because I was eating a fruit roll up and I bit my tongue. I'm sorry.
then you would not want to say that it's possible given the data. But if you're saying, okay, could the data be wrong? You can add hypothetically, but when you go back to, there's no probability behind it.
Like even if you have the right data, though, you're infallible. It's just fucking stupid.
No, but like any metaphysics, right? Like basically your epistemology is gonna like underdetermine any metaphysics. Like, you know, like when you talk about metaphysics, you're just talking about the way the world is, right? And the question is, how do you know the world is the way that is that way, right?
We're gonna tell a story.
Could your knowledge about the way the world is be wrong on this issue, James? And if and it sounds like you want to say yes.
Infallibilist or are you not?
Given the data, no.
No, but the question is how you know the data is correct.
Well, I think that there are certain things that.
Are you certain it's correct?
You just say you don't know that the data's correct.
Please don't obfuscate, James, please.
Jesus.
Well, no, I think I have a fundamental belief that the data is correct. I wouldn't reject it.
No, but the question is the question is not whether you believe that. The question is why you believe that.
I even question whether the data even says that. I don't even think you know what the. You're just like fuck. You're just speculating. What do you?
Well, it's more not really about the data, more about like the justification for believing in that data.
Yeah. Yeah, what Pape is saying is like you need epistemic certainty for it to be metaphysically impossible.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about metaphysics. I'm saying for it to be epistemically impossible in the sense that, like, your knowledge of it is infallible, right? You need epistemic certainty. I didn't say anything about metaphysics. I'm saying metaphysics doesn't matter.
That applies to the metaphysical claim. I know what you mean.
So it applies to the issue of how you know certain metaphysical claims are true. But
That's right.
Is its own modality independent of epistemic modality.
That's right. Yeah. It's like so the burden is like, how does the seeming right get you epistemic certainty?
Yeah.
So when I was reading more, and it's possible that I know I haven't read everything by Moore, but he's very clear. That you need to have, like, if they're not putting forth a claim, even though like a question with a proposition that's perceived true is an indirect claimant, even if that's the case, and they're not putting forth the, why are you considering something that just seems on the face?
The words entertain and consider, please. Okay? Those are not the words that I'm using.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not saying.
Andrew, you want to say something like consider and entertain, like have like some notion that you're undecided about the truth of it, right?
He knows this, not
No, I'm asking you. That's the way you're using it, right? Like
the way he's using it, because I'm not.
that means like you're undecided about it, right? Like we can talk about things we're not
I'm giving serious consideration.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying this for James too, right?
Right. So the
Like
point is,
everyone here has decided that it's in that respect.
and I
If no one's considering it, then there's no real reason.
No, we're talking about it because of a different
Please
issue.
stop saying. Yeah. Please stop saying.
Is sucking me in.
Please stop saying that, and please stop saying the thing logical possibility. Stop saying that. Stop saying logical possibility. Stop saying entertain, and stop saying consider.
no reason to
Are you
discuss.
wording this? What is C word?
Considering.
Consider.
Oh.
We're not counting this.
Wow.
Look, thank you, Jim.
Just James.
Whoa.
James, none of us are considering this. None
You're
of us
not
are
Australian enough for that yet.
Andrew, did you hear the nickname that they gave you? They were calling you Andrew.
Considering Andrew.
I know.
I swear he tries to deflect again.
Yeah.
Bullshit, because he's more Australian than you.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Jason, that's correct.
Fair enough, mate.
James, you just try to.
Common ancestor.
James, you're throwing up a wall of words. You're throwing up a lot of obfuscation.
It's like you have like there's rationalists, there's foundationalists.
No, rationalism isn't a starting point.
Coherentism, would that be the proper term, Piper?
Well, if that's what you mean by rationalism, I guess. But
That's one of the horns, at least.
the thing that
Really wrong word for coherentism. And this is why, like I've often told, like, you know, Piper, I'm not the best at these philosophical subjects. I've never claimed to be the best.
that's fine.
But how does coherentism get you out of this brain in a problem?
Possibility to consider these things. And the reason why I said I'm between that and foundationalism is, as a Christian, I would have went with probably pure foundationalism. You know, God is the foundation, and that God would correct any of these like underlying issues.
There's some like issues in the way you're thinking about this. Like first, and then like so with coherentism, if you're saying like a brain in the bat is incoherent in my coherent web of beliefs, right? Because you may have a belief like the external world is true and you're not in the brain in the bat or something like. But then the warrant that you have towards the skeptical scenario being false is going to be as strong as your warrant in the external world being true. Like, and anything that negates the skeptical scenario, which is not going to.
Well, you're people who have the appearance of intelligence. Like, I don't see any reason to question the external world. But then when you start going into an external world might not exist. I just don't see any need to like really consider them.
The thing is, when you have this
I
type
find
of view,
them
it's like
uninteresting.
you completely reject like idealism, which is like a perfectly viable form of like metaphysics or a theory of the philosophy of mind.
Well, wait. So it seems like all these skeptical theories rely implicitly on correspondence theory, but No, they don't. Well, okay, how about see? Let me try.
It would require like a realist theory, though. I think.
That's. Okay, but if a belief is because it works, then correspondence theory is kind of irrelevant. Like, okay, if I believe that I'm not a brain in a vat,
it's not relevant to what we're talking about.
and it works, it like. If it doesn't paralyze you, but like it gives you a reason to.
How do you know anything about any of that stuff?
The thing is, though, like with reliable, like pragmatism,
Like you're not really getting that. Like the skeptical stuff is like an iterative, like request for justification, right? Like it's just gonna like anything that you posit about the world that makes it the case such that you're right. They're just gonna ask you, how do you know that? And that includes like any conception of truth that you might marshal.
What if you just take it as an axiom?
That's called positivism, and I mean, it is an answer. Whether it's a good answer is a different issue.
Pragmatism, whatever you call it in English, is of that sort of a view. You just deny like correspondence and this like the skeptical.
Correspondence isn't relevant to this.
Some might concede. Some might say like it concedes.
But correspondence theory doesn't have to do with skeptical scenarios. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, skeptical scenarios applies to basically any theory of truth.
Skeptical scenarios are scenarios about whether there is external world or whether we
but like
believe it correct.
But
The problems of
What about my
look, just look for a second, right? First of all, they're not just scenarios about that. That's the external world. Right? So if you like just saying, oh look, truth is utility, right? It's not correspondence. That's just a metaphysical claim. They're gonna ask you how you know that too.
Hey, Piper, I do want to.
That type of skepticism, not like, oh, are you skeptical about morality? Are you skeptical about?
We're talking about skepticism and
finances. Like,
There should be like a group of people, maybe under the care of doctors, who are using certain drugs to consider a lot of these more crazy out there theories. And I think that should be encouraged.
I mean, look, you can go back in a time machine and tell like the academics and the Peronians that like you guys are fucking stupid. Like you can say that, right? But that doesn't address the epistemological problem, which is how we know anything, right?
I'm not saying that they're stupid, by the way.
I mean, they were brain in the vat, right? Anybody who entertains that, right, is probably crazy, right? Who entertains that seriously in the sense of like actually believing it, right? But then there's like a serious philosophical question about how we know things, right? Which brain in the vat scenarios are used to elucidate. And just saying that only a crazy person would believe in a brain in the vat scenario doesn't.
That like a crazy person is like that. Like maybe the drug comment came off as like snarky, but no, I'm saying that like there might be like a serious argument that people should do controlled substances and ponder a lot of these deep philosophical issues at the same time to expand them. I don't think that you should stop considering brain in a vat or even other like strange hypotheticals for philosophical possibility. No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay. I mean, to be clear, I think you probably shouldn't do drugs while you're thinking about this stuff because you should probably be clear-headed.
Well, sometimes some of the most mind-bending thoughts and things that have been contributed to like the human environment and our awe of the world have been drugs or tied to drugs. And so I'm saying in a medical environment, like for example, we wouldn't have things like the great songs by Nirvana.
Oh my God.
If he was not on drugs. We wouldn't have things like Jimi Hendrix.
That contributes to understanding reality.
Well, you can, like, I think that reality also is pondering, like, some crazy shit with your buddies in the backyard sometimes.
What does that have to do with brain development?
With getting high and considering
that has nothing to do with fine. But that has nothing to do with discussions that Andrew is having with you.
And what do you mean by real possibility?
Enough. Okay, then we're in a good.
No, you
have
but
to
you
go
said
grab this order real quick.
yeah, of course.
Who came up with like the quietism stuff? You know, like I forget who, but I think some of this stuff, like the skeptical scenarios. You know, it's something more like like the Griffith's trilemma. The reason why there's the Griffith's trilemma is because we're just like we're not like connecting the rubber with the road. The stuff there's like no applicability in the real world. It's like you should just like try it out or something.
Why does everyone call it a Grippers trilemma when I first heard of it for a long time as the Munchausen's trilemma?
Well, the name Agrippa's trilemma, Pyrrhonian skeptics would appeal to the something of Agrippa, the ways of Agrippa or something like that. When people asked them, or when people were trying to establish that they could take a position on certain questions, and that was just like, basically the straightforward questions about, well, how do you know that X and blah blah blah, and like chain of asking how you know X.
Was that like prior to Munchausen's? Is that a better wave?
Well, that was ancient philosophy. I'm not sure where the Munchausen thing came from.
Dragons. Munchausen is because Baron Munchausen, the guy who tried to pull himself up by his own bootstraps, which is what the claim. Well, which is kind of related to the dilemma, right? Like, how are you supposed technology, any solution seems like it's going to be like pulling yourself up with your bootstraps. At least, maybe the coherence theory or something, right? Like, will be like that's the idea.
Yeah, I just checked. Munchausen comes from 1968. It's about a horse a guy on a horse pulling himself out of a swamp by his own bootstraps or something. But yeah, it's based on some guy taking Agrippa's trilemma and renaming it.
Funny story, like when you say that your computer is booting up, that actually is a reference to bootstrapping, which comes from the same.
But yeah, why would that be? Why would it be boot? As in, like, is there something about
booting?
Yeah, like, is there something about the initial loading of stuff that's interesting in like a bootstrap sense?
Yeah, because when you're imagine like an operating system that's already executing, right? It has all these fancy it has a kernel, it has file systems, everything is loaded and ready to go, right? But a program that's booting up has none of that, right? There isn't a file system, nothing is set up, right? So it somehow has to start from scratch and install all of that, right? So that boot program can't just be like an ordinary like program that runs on an OS. It has to do everything by itself. That's fine.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So also in Nargiss's theology, right, bootstrapping is the process by which like God created the universe.
Andrew's not gonna get this. He's too low tier for such a joke.
Damn, shots fired.
I learned today that Nagas likes Patek Philippe's.
Nargis might be one of the most smartest people in this room, or in this app, in general. Ooh, what do you think about that, Mary?
The simp.
Clearly, the smartest person here is Milith.
There's going to be a consensus on that.
Now, Andrew might be one of the most angry people, but he wasn't always angry.
Right. What's up, Rich?
Yeah, what's up, Victoria?
Did you know that it's epistemically impossible?
I think it's epistemically impossible.
Detroit, would you help us out with
impossible.
James?
And logic possible.
Detroit, would you help us out with James, like trying to make sense of like being in a brain in a vat, and like his objections to like not considering it, hands therefore hands, that sort of stuff.
You heard R. Descartes' argument?
R. Descartes.
No, the Troyer guy had already heard this. He takes some different view from me, but I don't know. Maybe I should consider, like Detroyer said, that he believes that there's more evidence for the flat Earth than the Exodus. So maybe I should consider Detroyer's perspective. Maybe I'm not giving him a fair shake on that.
Do you think that that's some intention or something, James? Do you think that pointing that out is like somehow?
Well, he pointed out to trigger you, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if he thinks there's any kind of actual work that's doing by saying that, apart from just being, trying to incite me, do you think that does anything?
There's no work that it's doing besides.
Yeah. So, James, whether you prefer to brain in the vat or if you couldn't be a brain in the vat, how do you?
I think we've talked about this quite a bit.
Can you answer the question?
Are you
it should sound like this. It should sound like this. I know it because.
Are you
know it because?
Like Andrew, I've already answered this to you several times.
Oh really?
It's like the definition of insanity to ask the same question over and over again. Result.
Yeah, Andrew, get right.
Like if I answered it and you're not happy, and then I answered the same way again and you're not happy, and I answered the same way again and you're not happy, and you keep trying it, that is insanity.
That's not the definition of insanity.
Doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, that was Einstein making that statement. It's not the definition of insanity.
It is, however, the definition of insanity. Call back.
Yeah, it follows.
It doesn't make sense. Imagine you're playing roulette, right?
Does anyone remember insanity?
3 losses in a row.
No.
You expect a different result.
You know too much obscure shit. No.
Yeah.
Which is both a positive and a negative.
Oh, you jerk.
Well, Andrew has found this one thing that he can mock, and he's going to continue to mention it over and over again because it gives him enjoyment.
I'm not mocking.
Andrew, you keep bringing it up whenever I'm in the room because it gives you enjoyment.
frame.
Maybe we should let Detroyer talk instead of you two.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Detroyer talk. Detroyer, I would like you to meet James. He says that he knows he's not going to bad.
Who's this?
And he's gonna mock you.
Oh, nice to
His
meet
name
you,
is James is tired.
Nice to meet you.
That you're a brain in a vat.
I'm
But
not
if you ask me,
gonna
I want to
clarify.
clarify.
Please stop.
But I want to clarify one thing for Detroyer. But Detroyer, like, since you just met James, you can see his title is James is tired. That is actually his identity.
So he is tiredness itself.
That's right.
It's been really nice to talk to you guys, but I'm feeling really
James is
right
the
now.
concrete universal of time.
They want you and I to discuss bringing it back for a few moments.
Okay.
So let's start off with what we agree on. Logical ability, we agree, correct?
We agree that it's logically possible.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we agree that looking at other real world possibilities, that it's hypothetically possible, right?
What do you mean by hypothetical?
And then I'll tell you if I agree.
Because like I'm not.
And the data is, there's some papers that I've read where they're talking about from scientific communities and people who are examining this and studying it and saying that it's not possible now, and they don't believe that it's going to be possible in the future, building the premise of like Brain in a Vat is that it's like a world that's like ours in every conceivable way, but there's not any kind of distinguishable difference.
I read the papers, by the way. Like, James is right.
Yeah.
Check.
Right. If all you're saying is that physics and so on is not, it wouldn't be enough to like achieve that, like have a brain in that, but other where like had the I don't see why that would rule out. But that's something that is shown in something that's being fed to us, and not necessarily something that's true of the outer world.
Yeah, but Detroit, have you considered the fact that scientists have shown that, like, in fact, our mental states are critically influenced by our gut macrobiome or microbiome, right? So a brain in a vat wouldn't have access to the gut microbiome, so just not possible.
It's KO.
That's right.
Let James respond.
So it just seems that we just disagree, and I
Well, think about it, right? If you were a brain in a vat, right, and these are
But that just seems like we're just looking at the hypothetically possible, but until you have some evidentiary explanation to the contrary of what your seemings have and what you entail with the world around you, why would that be something
or even take it as something that undermines your everyday knowledge?
Was the Graham Plattner thing maybe? Is it the right litmus test to use these accusations, which may to override a primary election? Sense.
Well, I thought they did have the. Peter, please.
I thought they majority.
I know, but you know. And a couple of, I'm very concerned people who were kind of like, I guess, on the fence.
Yeah, right. That woman was always going to vote for him. I knew she was going to vote for him after it met because she got the vapors. Go back and Google image pictures between Brett Kavanaugh and Susan Collins. The lady had the gushy gush. Go look at the pictures.
I believe you.
I'm joking when I tell that the sex stuff. Go look. She had a crush on him. He's a brilliant, handsome, highly accomplished man who drinks beer and lifts weights with Woogie.
I don't know.
I mean, what was there to fight? They were in the minority. And in fact, the vote was
especially in a presidency like we had.
One person voted present. Yeah, I mean, you can try to oppose them, but the other side doesn't come over. I mean, everyone knew, for example, the Democrats were going to pass the Inflation Reduction Act. We knew they were, right? Raphael Warnock tried to put an amendment where the $35 for insulin cap for people on Medicaid could be added to everybody.
I think they tried to do the same thing as they did with
I don't know. I would just vote for everybody, except the people that have credible criminal, whatever, where they've been charged or something comes out during the bidding process. Of course, it was a big back and forth today with Cory Booker and Todd Blanche, because this is what Cory Booker does. He rides for AIPAC. allow.
I think Corey just wants to go in the history books for something. That's it. Just wants to be remembered, I believe. Corey.
Yes. I mean,
He's gonna come up. He don't do anything else. He don't make a spectacle. The filibuster, he gonna come out and have a statement. He gonna do something.
The filibuster. So I didn't mind. See, I like the filibuster because that speaks to the Senate. Like that's what you do. It's politics. So it's where one talks. But
But do you think his filibuster for that? I think it was for the viral moment.
you're in the minority in the Senate, they never work out. He was just talking over the time. Did you see his back and forth today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he didn't even. He just.
Yeah, I get it for the principal. I just don't think he does it for the principal. I don't know. What did he do today with Donald Trump? Can you tell me more?
No, it was Todd Blanche. That's how this started because of the AG nominations today. So I was telling First Lady was asking if he doesn't get nominated, what happened? Good job, Eddie Glaude. I don't know. That's just my own personal view. I mean, I thought it through. That's where I am. Maybe people can disagree. I'd be happy to have a debate. No more than 10 minutes. And if I was a Republican, I would do the same. I'd vote for, like I said, that's the one thing I respected Lindsey Graham for until he went crazy after COVID. He voted for every Supreme Court nominee. It didn't matter if it was a Democrat or a Republican. Every single one he voted for.
Until the black one.
Okay.
Yeah. If I was Maha, I'd want him out. He's been terrible. We got a poop epidemic. We bought a bunch of salad greens. Anybody in this house eating them salad greens? People shitting all through here. I ain't eating that shit. It's going right in the trash.
Somebody said they're trying to lose about 15 pounds, so they might.
See, that's actually not a bad idea, but you just don't want to get extremely hydrated because about I saw 100 people ended up in the hospital. All right, my segment's over. Does anybody else have a take they would like to give in politics and governance? You can take questions. It's kind of a fun format.
Remains afterwards. Like what they did to the nation, what did
you just do a on us?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna continue neutral view. What we can stop.
He just did a on us, Sean. Oh my God. Peter been hanging out with us too much.
No, he been over on that other side. You know which side. I think the problem that Mullah's been 47 years making pussy content.
I will say I am a norms and institutions loving liberal, but you have taken it to new heights, man. So I do appreciate that.
Can this room tolerate a moment of silence for our dearly departed Mr. Lindsey Graham?
No.
Question. Hold on, Peter. No, the room cannot tolerate it. So go ahead. What's your point? No, we're not doing a moment of silence.
Okay, I've already done one for him in my mind, but we can give him a second of silence. Okay, and I just want to say I think it was a great loss because even though, you know, he probably doesn't agree with many of the people in this room, I think he offered a good counterbalance to how we run government in this country. And I thought he was a strong voice for the conservative values that, you know, I hold dear. So he will be missed.
Okay. Anybody? Any other comments on anything?
Earlier, it sounded like you were saying something like the House should be able to impeach people or veto things, something along those lines.
Well, no. What I was saying is that the because Trump is the 47th president. I mean, you people are in the halt.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's ridiculous. That kind of questioning is absurd.
Oh, but his answer is good. His answer is good.
What happened? I missed it. What happened?
It was a long time ago. It was just, people don't take oversight seriously or the nomination process seriously because it's in their party, and it's exactly what the founders didn't want to happen, which is
Shops, really?
I'm trying to imagine like Thomas Jefferson being, confirmed by the Senate. Mr. Jefferson, yes, Senator Carroll. How many push-ups did you do this morning? 1.
And Pete Hegseth and I think the whole Trump organization has this very salesy, very like business guy kind of mentality. So
I'm not saying what it is or what it isn't.
You're just saying it's dumb.
What it is doesn't.
You're just saying it's dumb. Okay.
Oh, sorry, Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll come right back.
No worries. What do you do to incent?
I was both eating. And when you started pooping in bed, hold on, I need
No, I just poured a pan of water in the sink, okay? It was nothing like that. It's just a pan of water.
Oh, okay. It really
that I poured in the sink. I'm just cleaning up my kitchen
No,
sink.
it's all good. And the way you said,
I'm
sorry, it did sound like you were peeing on your hand, too.
But I'm very sorry. No, okay.
No, you're fine, brother.
He was washing things in the tub.
Well, one, I hadn't really thought that through because there's 100 of me. This is going to sound weird to some, but one, you need to pay people more money in Congress. I can break that down. And 2, you need to start impeaching.
I think if the House wants to register its disapproval with something, there's a resolution for that. I think impeachment, and maybe I'm probably in the minority here, but I think it shouldn't be used unless you can guarantee a conviction, only because it was supposed to be the most severe punishment. It was supposed to amount to from what I recall in the Federalist Papers and the arguments about impeachment, they did intend it to be a super severe punishment. And so it seems to me that should only be used when you know you're going to get a conviction. Because otherwise, it secretaries, I agree with you. You know, use impeachment. If you don't get a conviction, fine. It's a register that the cabinet secretary is bad. Like that seems okay to me. But for presidents, it doesn't seem like you should use impeachment unless you can get a conviction. And I include the Bill Clinton impeachment even as a tiny child when that happened.
My observation is that the United States is due for that type of culture of much more severe oversight. It has been sweeping everywhere across the world on corruption and on educational issues like plagiarism quite severely. United States for now has skipped that somehow.
We're gonna do it.
You can put them in, we can take them out. Yeah, I think that was well put. That was a good summary. Let me respond on neoliberal. America is, for a country that is culturally and socially built off of the most obvious yet hidden Calvinism outside of the Netherlands. It's insane how we do not have structures and modalities of punishment anymore. But I'm going to say it. One of the best things that has happened in American culture in a long time yeah, Messi was offside. Good flag. That happened in a long time. Was Harvard University. Oh, he wasn't offsides. What am I saying? He wasn't offsides at all. Was Harvard University.
I was talking about you.
Capping. Okay, Peter, let me help you out. Capping the number of A's.
Sense of you get them out of office, but to sort of make them look stupid and point out their lies. So it's unfortunate we have a group of people on all sides, who are just incapable of doing that. But I do think that establishing a record, particularly with someone like Todd Blanche, is important because he has been sentenced by a judge. It has been sent to disciplinary proceedings. He did do something, and I know you think I'm always, I believe in the law too much, whatever, but he did do something that was so outside the bounds of what's legal to me, this whole lawsuit, that I think you should be making these records, and if the record includes you voting against it, that's fine, right? But that presupposes that you're good at what you do. And most of these guys are just, they're buffoons when they ask the questions. So you need to have better questions to ask, and then you can say, look, I can't vote for you because you did something that violated legal ethics in a way that is so extraordinary. And establishing
Yes,
Yes.
Or running.
Yes. Are you going to go back to the realm of the age of nine or no?
I wasn't saying yes to you. I was saying yes to someone else. I'm fine. So what? I don't know what you got here. I would do all the things that you said to do, and I would still vote yes, because I believe fundamentally. First of all, I don't know what legal ethics are. I don't know what that's just something that you people have made up in your own personal institutions and think that applies to government. And so therefore the New York Bar Association sends a letter saying that he shouldn't be confirmed. Of course the New York Bar Association says there's a bunch of liberals who don't like Trump. Like that is responsible. Now he couldn't do the job, but you don't have to be an attorney. I know this is the one that, because y'all really think this is special. I don't want to go. I don't want to. The propaganda in this country from within among attorneys, they swear they are the special group. Let me just keep going. Anyway, I will go to that. But anyway, this was my argument. Let the president have his people to do his thing. That's all.
So then you would say that
have an advising consent.
why have a confirmation?
I think that if you read the Constitution, which I have, and the just those words. I just think it's silly. I think if the president gets elected, the president should be able to put in his people to carry out his aims at the executive branch.
Wait, what is the it? What do you think is silly?
That senators should. Ooh.
Okay.
One of who their underlings are. So I use the example from.
So you
football.
think it shouldn't exist at all?
Example from football. No, I do think it does. Let me get there. So the head coach, new head coach for the New York Giants, John Harbaugh. Why should the Tisch and Mara family tell Harbaugh who his offensive and defensive coordinator should be? I'm running a football program. Comes to owner. Well, what I actually like is I want us to run a smash mouth off tackle, bring back the counter tray of the Redskins of the 1980s and early 90s. Doesn't work. That's what I thought you were in here when I went through this. I've been talking for 2 hours.
Well, you know, I was at work at some point, so some of it I didn't hear.
That's fair. So it's important because what I would do is I would do a full hearing. I would say this is where I think you're not qualified to do the job. I think you're going to fail. And in 5 months, I'll be voting for removal. I'm going to vote for you to get in. I think you should lay out all the objections that you have for the person and show it. So one, it has a political value and also an anticipatory value. So I think the process to lay it out, that's also where criminality and corruption. So I'm not saying everybody, like Matt Gaetz should not have been confirmed. What happened to Matt Gaetz, if he went to the Senate, obviously I would have voted against someone like Matt Gaetz. But I would have voted for Kristi Noem. Want to tell you why? Because that's, Donald Trump. Donald Trump picked her to run DHS. He has an idea for what he wants his DHS to be run like. He should be able to pick the person to carry that idea through. And it was a disaster.
But now you're saying also even in the Supreme Court, which crosses into the judicial branch. That sense, why do you, in the context of where, it's not a football, the football analogy works to a certain point because, it's not public life. These people don't represent us. In the context of government, where these people are, making decisions that are going to have consequence, I can see why many would say that whoever a president appoints should go through this process, and because of the balance of powers. I didn't really hear you address that aspect.
Yeah, the court one is trickier, but as long as the person is qualified for the court, which Brett Kavanaugh. But let me back up. Does anybody here believe Brett Kavanaugh is not qualified to be I'll use him as an example. He's the most controversial one. Does anybody? Oh, Tiffany. Does anybody believe that he is not qualified? No. So I voted for him. Does anybody here believe that Ketanji Brown Jackson or Son of My Order or Kagan are not qualified for the Supreme Court based on what they did? No. So I voted for him. The only one I have problem with in my lifetime is the Comey Barrett one. And it has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with it was 2 weeks before an election and people were already voting. That one to me is still nasty. But otherwise, Donald Trump won the election. He won. Deplorable. I think Obama should have been able to pick. They should have at least had a vote. At least they should have voted on him. Maybe they didn't go for it. I would have voted for him. Like, the institutions so badly that they're not functional. And the reason why they're not functional is because people are voting against people, one, who are going to be confirmed anyway, and two, can still serve as acting. Isn't that crazy? After all this, Todd Blanche can still be the Attorney General, and yet you're going to get 45 to 47 Democrats vote against him. Why?
Politics.
Exactly.
No, it's not. Okay. Can I disagree? Okay, I want to disagree again.
Of course.
That makes sense in a world where the Senate and the House actually have some gumption and would do consent is just as good as anywhere else.
Need to get back to that. Like, what was the point of voting against? I gave a good example from the Inflation Reduction Act. So you have this reconciliation process, and the Democrats added that the people on Medicare, they capped the insulin at $35 a month, and they can do that with just a simple majority because Medicare, is part of the rules. It goes to the bird bath and all that. And so Raphael Warnock had a thing saying, "Hey, look, let's do it for everybody. It's $35 for stuff everybody." He couldn't get 10 Republicans to vote for that. That's the most insane thing I've ever seen. But they didn't add anything. But they got 7 votes, I believe. You couldn't find 10 Republicans. Of course not. Why? Because it was Joe Biden.
Did you say it was an addendum? What was it an addendum to? What was it an amendment to?
It was the Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, well, so they weren't against, if it was line item, if they were just going to vote on that as a standalone, I'm sure they would all be for it, but because it was attached to, you just said it was part of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes, so it would have been included in the thing that passed anyway. So they knew it was going to pass, and they could still vote against it. But in the passing of it during the, what's it called? The something Orama, vote Orama or whatever. I think that's what people call it at the time. They said, "Hey, we have this thing for $35. We're putting it in. We're going to pass it. Let's do it for everybody." And they couldn't get 10 Republicans.
As you say, Congress is broken.
But you can't do it at the executive level. So that doesn't do anything. That's a waste. And I'll be honest with you, he's really bad at working with Congress. He didn't sign the housing bill, which became law anyway.
I know, but what it does is it's what you call virtue signaling to his base.
Everything has to be a defense of individuals.
It's an explanation.
And we're talking about stuff at a normative level.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
It should be. Just go ahead, neoliberal. Everything is about defending Donald Trump.
I wasn't agreeing with this virtue signaling. It's an explanation.
We get it, Infinity. We get it.
I need you to explain it. You know what it is.
If you get it, why do they get so riled up?
Idea. Are you serious? Donald Trump said he wasn't going to sign any other bills until the SAVE Act goes through? We had no clue. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute.
But you didn't say that you didn't make.
Hold on. Donald Trump didn't. Wait a minute. What is the SAVE Act?
But the conversation isn't just for you. There's people in the audience who know much less than me or you. So when I make those explanations, it provides the proper context.
About that.
I know, but
conflict seeking.
No, I'm not. Whatever you can think I am.
It doesn't add context because you missed it. It's not context because it becomes law anyway. So in a conversation about institutions and institutionalism, you telling me why he did it.
think we're looking at medicine, and my observation is, and I think we talked about it previously, that while the founding fathers were against factionalism, and I guess you were reading that was okay.
Barrel of 79 was the Rising Intent.
Yeah, try to move away from it. It kind of has a return of a repressed quality to it, because in parliamentary system and in Britain it is happening. At least when there is a new PM, right, their own party can do the internal politics on what the cabinet is going to look like. And there is shadow ministers, etc., for cabinet positions. And at most they would be asked questions, but there isn't a confirmation process like that, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and the United States. And then create the cabinet they want.
Yeah, I don't. The country and enforcing the laws, which they teach us in middle school, which he's supposed to do, but then he's not allowed to put his people in place to do it. Totally strange stuff. Like totally strange stuff. Where is the part that advising consent requires a vote? You know, it must be in the Senate package. I guess consent always means vote in the Constitution. Does anybody know this? Than Republicans. I don't know what Republicans are doing. And the Republicans clearly want to lose the midterms. And it just becomes law anyway. Like they're intentionally breaking the institution. My solution fixes the institution. Just let everybody become everything unless they are criminals.
Yeah, you're talking about using the process for
criminal
Manfinity. You're talking about using the process for transparency, basically accountability, right? Like he has to show everyone who his picks are. They have to answer some questions. If they are grossly inappropriate, they have this allows they're in the mob. They've been
And the problem with the qualified or unqualified thing is that is very subjective. So while I might think Pete Hegseth is unqualified, others might think he's qualified. I mean, we've had Supreme Court justices who weren't lawyers in the past. Do you need to be a lawyer to be the head of the DOJ? I don't think so. Tara probably thinks so. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But that's what I'm saying. Like the qualifications are things.
No, I don't think so. It's not required. It's not required.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, not you, but maybe ABCD. I was just thinking some overeducated attorney in the room. It could be anybody, but I'm sure people do. I'm sure, like the people off of the whatever Let's try it. There's a bunch of liberals in their institutions coming up with their own definitions of what qualified is. Qualified is whatever the man who's in charge, the woman in charge picks. Should nominate E40, be head of the Labor Department, and Suge Knight to be the head of DOJ, and dare him to vote against them. Anyway, that's my segment. You guys can do whatever you want. What do you think?
I agree with you. People should be able to put whoever they want around them to get their agenda done.
Not criminals, not if you rape a child.
Like when Kennedy appointed his brother, I'm sure they thought that was nepotism as Attorney General back in 1960. But other people thought he was the most qualified, probably. I wasn't around back then, but I'm sure that was very controversial at the time.
Well, what about for operational competency?
In Ban's idea, because Ban is really indexing more on a balance of powers strategy, where he's saying they can put anybody in, and if there's a problem with their operational competency, that's not something we can only solve one time when we put them in. Actually, we just take them out. We get them out of there.
That makes sense.
And see, in this my schema, I think it makes, how can I say it? I think the bitter partisan 52-48 votes makes people less likely to get rid of their homeboys. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, we had to fight to get him up. I'm gonna be honest. If Pete Hegseth was George W. Bush, say it wasn't Pete Hegseth in terms of what he did, but he was this bad at being the defense secretary. Strangely would be more likely to remove him. There's a thing about these like partisan battles that just makes people dig in. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm just this is an idea I had while reading about Rome. So you got to do your thing.
Yeah, it's almost like after we vote in the president, then he goes through like some congressional process to get approved. You know, people voted. That's what they want. So now his agenda and people come with him. You wouldn't put Trump on a congressional as in consent after he's been elected by the people, right?
Yeah. I mean, and anybody, Biden, Obama, like all presidents, like that's what I think is so refreshing about this thing. I said before the room started, to Lindsey Graham's credit, this was the one thing I respected about Lindsey Graham. He voted until Kentucky Brown Jackson when everybody went crazy. He voted for every single nominee, Democrat or Republican.
What
That was a fiery speech. Yeah. Democrats let them give that speech because they acted like a fucking rank fool.
What did that woman Diane
Feinstein?
Diane Feinstein. Didn't she do something like she got something in the mail?
It's crazy.
I'm sorry, I just saw something.
No relation, by the way, for those. You saw her singing. You saw her singing with Sammy Davis Jr. wasn't it? It was a planned attack.
Waste of time.
Planned attack is corrupt.
Disingenuous. All that kind of stuff. Government corruption is a different thing. We gotta stop using words. Anyway, I don't care. Y'all use corrupt for everything.
You could say it was a dirty move.
Yeah. I mean, if that was corrupt, what is the president's sons getting $1 billion contracts from the Defense Department? Like that's corrupt.
Yeah, I agree with that. Corruption is a very amorphous term.
No, I like what Van is saying here. Yeah, corruption is something stupid, ineffective, counterproductive. It's something else.
Yeah, it's something.
What needs to rise to the level of corruption? What's the scope for corrupt?
Enrichment. Enrichment.
Yeah.
What about
usually has the financial.
Taking out Kavanaugh is not a form of enrichment?
No, it's just But it was bad. It was bad politics. I mean, I actually think that was before Biden died in office. Shout out to his ghostwritten book with an auto pen. Maybe it was a pen like in Harry Potter. You know, it just writes on its own. Before that moment, I thought the Kavanaugh moment, institutional democratic response to all of it. It was so stupid. Even the feminists like Kimberly Foster agrees.
Wow. You know what senator I really enjoy listening to? Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana. He's
hilarious.
20. Anyways, listen to this.
He's phony.
He got a book. You can call him phony, but I didn't know he went to Oxford. I didn't know he had.
Speaking.
And if you turn it on, isn't that just fake?
I don't know, because I can talk like this, but then I can switch it up in a second.
Yeah, you're faking.
I'm still myself.
I think they call it
This is a different version of me. It's called mirroring. You ever heard of mirroring?
So when he mocks overeducated, latte drinking, highly educated institutional liberals who talk a certain way, that's not fake, even though that's who he was.
No, because he's still connected. He's still grounded. Those people have lost their grounding. So you can still be.
How is he grounded as a multi-millionaire U.S. senator, but the rest of us will go to college who are regular people not grounded? So just break down how he's grounded.
Because
what do you know about Joe Kennedy?
Well, I'm listening to it. It's not Joe. It's John Kennedy.
I mean John Kennedy. Who's Joe Kennedy?
The bootlegger.
Yeah. But go ahead. Explain how you know he's grounded, though.
Well, that's the sense I get. I'm listening to his audiobook, which is hilarious, by the way.
How do you know he's grounded?
So I don't know him personally, but that's the sense I get. Because, for instance, he doesn't bow to the altar of intellect. He recognizes that Mr. Kennedy.
Why don't you think he does? What in his record suggests he does?
So I was listening to it. So he did enjoy his law school. I mean, just a
second. I just have a question. So evidence for you for not bowing to intellect is whether or not you enjoyed law school.
No. You don't take that out of context. What I'm saying is there was a context around that. He didn't like being in those circles. These people these hoity. And then he went on to Oxford, but not because he enjoyed Oxford.
Stop. He didn't want to, Ben. He was forced.
Let's go through his. Let's go through. Where did he go to college?
He went to college at I think it was at Louisiana.
He went to Vanderbilt.
No. Vanderbilt was at Louisiana Tech. Something in Louisiana.
He went to Vanderbilt.
before that with Louisiana Tech.
Oh, why did he transfer?
This is what he said. He enjoyed being in challenging environments. So the reason why he liked being challenged intellectually, but he doesn't bow to the altar of intellect, meaning he doesn't, just because they say it's true.
He doesn't like
I'm not seeing anything online that he went to Louisiana Tech for undergrad. So he was valedictorian of his high school. He then went on to go to Vanderbilt, which is the second most elite college in the American South, and I would argue top 20 of the elite colleges in America. Easily, probably 18, 19, right? Right around there, right around 20. He majored in, I'm just reading from his biography here, philosophy, political science, and economics. And he graduated magna cum laude. He then was elected senior class president and named to Phi Beta Kappa. I want to stop right there. Decided to go get a Bachelor of Civil Law at Magdalen College at Oxford, where he studied under the great Rupert Cross and J.H.C. Moss. Academia, he makes me jealous.
Yeah, but he infiltrated it as a regular person, similar to what I did.
How?
But, and two, Zoran specifically ran on using the long arm of the government to create environments for New York landlords that are so unprofitable through the taxation power of the government that they would be forced to turn over the property.
That's why I'm one of his biggest donors.
Yeah, isn't that with the apartment buildings divisive? He came out with those statements on taking over apartment buildings that are.
And an owner, like whatever corporation or entity owns it, then comes up for review to see if they're like slumlords, and then it gets like sold to somebody who might actually take care of it. I feel like that would be an actual useful thing to do and like doable. All this other shit is just
I don't know. But I did promise Daniel that we would go back to him.
And I think that Bernie rightfully calls himself a socialist, a democratic socialist. I don't think he's a danger to the American people, that old man, and the people who follow him, that say that there can be a fairer, more just, systemic way of handling the growth of capital so that more people enjoy it. That's not necessarily changing the whole capital system.
These are just platitudes. And with the argument about whether or not we're moving into a pure socialism, is socialism light or inspired by socialism, is not the interesting question. The interesting question is if we are moving directionally toward socialism. And powerful and siphon more wealth away from the private system, which made this country rich and powerful in the first place. It's as simple as it.
Do you think it should know how to pay its own bills without having to borrow money?
Yeah, if I were in charge, yeah.
Into this conversation, I didn't run away. Coincidentally, it's funny that at that time, well, I'll just tell you that within 2 weeks, 2 air conditioners blew in my apartment. And I found the greatest guy to put it in. He happens to come from Russia to escape communism. And second one blew, second air conditioner blew, and I had to get in touch with him. And coincidentally, I said to him, by the way, I know you came from communism. He's a great guy to talk to. He's an engineer and all that. He's brilliant. Did a fantastic job. My air conditioner. So I said to him, what does socialism mean to you? I know what it means to me. I know what it doesn't mean to me. But what does it mean to you? And he said to me quickly, he said, it's the interim. You have to think about that. That is the correct answer. So is, and I think communism, or how it's being used now, and socialism too, is the interim step to Islamism. And I think that's where Mandami isn't a socialist, he isn't a communist, he's an Islamist. And they're using the Democratic Party to take over and to get to that direction. That's how I feel. All right, continue, guys.
Socialism, right? I mean, an expanded safety net is not socialism, right? You could have a vigorous capitalist economy like Scandinavian countries do. In fact, in some ways, are more deregulated than we are economically, but they have massive safety nets. That's not a socialist. Socialism is the state owning the means of production.
That's right.
And that is what Trump is zealous. I think Trump has a socialist bent to him, right? He likes the government having control of private corporations, right? I think Trump ultimately has some socialist sympathies. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying I think Trump has a socialist temper.
I mean, I'm putting stuff in the chat on what the DSA has been publishing, including getting a new constitution. I just thought I'd share that.
I mean, this is where Trump and the DSA kind of line up on the government owning companies. I think
he hasn't called for a new constitution, Scott.
He has not. I don't think Trump read the first
Hear about a constitution, that's the difference.
Well, you may think that some of us would debate.
No, he's taking
we disagree with you.
Well, that's great.
But we're sitting in the U.S. Daniel, you're sitting in Canada. I mean,
yeah, he is.
And so for those of us, and by the way, great USA.
You can always tell, Scott, when you hear somebody attack my Canadianness.
No, I'm just saying, I'm sitting in the birthplace of it.
Have you noticed that?
Which everyone walking around shouting USA, USA. By the way, it's been beautiful. Can I just give a shout out to the United States, because the last couple of days with baseball in Philly and having the All-Star game on our 250th anniversary has been phenomenal. Democrats and Republicans walking around wearing red,
they lost the World Cup. A shame they lost the World Cup. Even after the mock
around wearing red, white, and blue, both national. All shouting USA, USA in a huge stadium, and walking around the streets of the birthplace of America in red, white, and blue in the last few days has just been a wonderful sight to see. And it's great when you see that in America. And here it is in the birthplace where it all happened 250 years later. And viewership was in the last 2 days of the Home Run Derby or the All-Star game, but it's great to see all kinds of Americans, D's and R's together, shouting USA. There you
That's
go.
our national pastime, and it's beautiful.
Beautiful. And I'm at a quiet moment, but a shout out here to the United States and how great it is to see that.
And a biggest shout out to the MVP of the All-Star game with the Yankees.
Yeah, all right. I wasn't going to go there. It's Jules. Rebooted the platform for featuring a host of radical proposals, and it's basic, it's the takeover of property. I mean, I can go through the list of this.
They're against innovators. They're against.
Would you like to read the platform? Go ahead.
I'd like to ask you a question, Abby, if I could. Sure. So you were just saying a moment ago.
And why Schwarber's number one?
So you're a sports fan. Sure, let's go there. You're a huge sports fan. So in the interest of integrity and ethics, let me guess, you fully condone and agree with the president, literally like being a John Gotti Mavas and calling the head of FIFA to insist that a player be reinstated. Do you think that's ethical in the name of sports and fairness?
Can you move him down until you're done?
The John Gotti mob boss. What do you know about the mob, the Moose? I know more about the mob than you know about the mob.
Answer the question.
Hey, I live in Las Vegas, babe. Can we tell you about the mob and how they built
Just
my
answer the
city?
question.
And do you have some of this?
Do you want to answer? I'm glad he called FIFA. What the hell? I mean, he didn't win. We didn't win. We got carved out. So, fuck that.
Okay.
That's